Hey everyone, welcome to another webisode of White Collar Wednesdays. I am Adriana Collado-Hudak, Senior Counsel for Green Spoon Martyrs, White Collar and Criminal Defense Practice. And today I want to talk to you about currency seizures at the airport or the border. What to do when the feds take your money. And folks, they love to take your money. Did you know that each year the U.S. government seizes hundreds of millions of dollars from people traveling through airports and ports throughout the United States? And they can do this under a law called the Bank Secrecy Act. So when does this apply? If you or someone that you are traveling with is carrying $10,000 or more in U.S. currency, and that doesn't just mean cash, that could also be things like a check or certain property. If you don't report that amount to customs as you are coming into the country, the feds can swoop in and take your money, and you'll be walking out of there with nothing, at least for the time being. So the bottom line is, to start, you have to know that if you are carrying $10,000 or more in U.S. currency, you have to report it to Customs and Border Protection. Failure to do so means that you can lose that money and you may never get it back again. And the laws provide an easy route for the government to discover and end up taking money that can come from unlawful sources or that is being used for illegitimate reasons, which is really the reason why this law was implemented in the first place. The problem is that since the scope of the law is so broad, there are many times where the government winds up taking funds that come from innocent conduct, from totally legitimate conduct, and wraps up innocent people into this cash grab. So also, what you should know is that it's perfectly legal to carry cash aboard your flight. You can even carry, more than $10,000. That is not a problem, and it's not going to be illegal. The illegality comes in when you don't report that you are carrying that money. And that's where everybody winds up losing their property. So let's talk a little bit, or let's see an example of how this could happen. Let's say, for example, we have Slick Sam. He inherits a nice chunk of money from his rich uncle in Argentina. So he flies down to Argentina, attends his uncle's services, and collects his inheritance, which happens to be $20,000 US. He is super happy about this, pockets the check, comes back home to Miami, and just as the flight is about to land, the flight attendant walks through and gives everyone what is called a FinCEN form, and that is a form where you essentially have to declare what you are bringing to the United States, and one of the questions is whether you are carrying more than $10,000 in currency. Slick Sam looks at that FinCEN form and he thinks to himself, wait a minute, if I report this money, what will happen? Will the government take a chunk of it when I'm coming in? Will they tax it on the spot? Or, hey, is this going to delay my return home? I really just want to get home. It's been a long day. So Sam decides, heck, I've got a check. It's in my wallet. Nobody's going to check it. I'm just not going to say anything. So Sam doesn't declare it. Unfortunately, this is not Sam's day. When he gets to the airport, he is selected for a random security check. And during that check, the money is discovered in his wallet. Customs agents ask him why he didn't declare the money or report it. Sam, at that time, becomes flustered. He gets nervous. Gosh, this has never happened to him before. He's worried about what the feds are going to do to him. So he basically just mumbles along and doesn't do much to explain himself. The government takes the money. Sam, at that point, figures he's lost it for good. Dejected, he goes home. He doesn't consult with an attorney, and his inheritance is gone for good. You don't want to be Slick Sam, and here are ways to avoid falling into that situation. How to avoid Sam's predicament? Well, again, the easy route is if you're traveling with any form of currency, including checks, money order, etc., that exceed $10,000, you must make sure that you report it on the FinCEN form when it is distributed prior to your aircraft landing. And don't even think about breaking up the money and trying to get around the reporting requirement by having other people in your party carry some of the money with them. I've seen a couple of instances where people thought they could get around this law by splitting up the money. Let's say one person carries $3,000, the other one carries $2,000, the other one carries $6,000, and they thought they could swoop through customs without a problem. Unfortunately, that $10,000 amount requirement applies across the board to all members of your party. So if altogether you are carrying more than $10,000, you need to report it, no matter what. Now, let's say that for some reason you don't report it and you have the bad luck of having agents at the airport who seize the money. Many travelers assume that once that money is taken, they just can't get it back, that they're done, and they just never bother to consult with an attorney or take any steps to get that money back. That is completely wrong. It is a misconception. And most of the time, I can tell you that if your funds come from a legal source, you can get at least, if not all the money back, a good percentage of it in return. But the key here is that you need to consult with an attorney as soon as possible. The first thing you need to do if a seizure takes place is that you need to make sure that the agent who seizes the money gives you a custody receipt for that property. Then make sure that you write down the names of the agents at the airport whom you spoke with, who asked you questions, and of course, who took the money. If anyone in your party gave any statements to those agents, make sure you write down what they said and what questions were asked of them so that you can give your attorney a good account of what went down. The other thing you want to do is gather up any documentation or proof that you have that the source of these funds was legal. For example, in Sam's case, he could ask the executor of his uncle's will to provide him an affidavit or some kind of written proof that these are funds that came from his deceased uncle's estate. If the money is a gift, have the gift giver provide you with some kind of receipt or notice that this money was in fact given to you under those circumstances. If it's money that you earned through a business, some kind of invoice, proof of payment, that will also assist you. And of course, the most important thing you need to do is make sure you retain counsel as soon as possible. The longer you wait, the more likely it is that you will lose your opportunity to get that money back. And hiring an experienced attorney is your best hope of, in fact, doing so. Governing through the procedure of getting the money back through the agency or a federal prosecutor's department, it's confusing, it is not user-friendly, and again, the best way to ensure that you'll be able to get at least some of that back is by making sure you've got someone fighting for you on your side. And don't be fooled. It is not the government's duty to prove that they had the right to take your money. It is, in fact, on you, on the person whose asset is seized, to show that the government took your money unlawfully. That's another reason why you need to have good counsel on your side to help you through this process. Now, once you hire an attorney, typically there are two different routes that your attorney could take to get that money back. They could either file a petition with the agency that took the funds, or they might choose to contact a federal prosecutor directly and have the case referred to him or her. This all depends on what the circumstances and facts are surrounding the seizure and what information your attorney has to present to the government. Whichever method they choose, whatever you do, make sure again that you've spoken to somebody who has good experience in dealing with the government as to seizures and forfeitures, and make sure that you get them on your side as soon as possible. So that's going to do it for today's White Collar Wednesday episode. I will see you next time. Have a great one.